Now that we know why Hashem is not exactly happy, why there's so much disaster in the world, so many diseases and so much problems, and we know that these are all signs of the end of times. Even though we've always had disaster, some of this disaster that we have is new. In the book of Jeremiah, the prophet says, לכן הנה ימים באים נאום אדוני ולא יאמר עוד חי אדוני אשר העלה את בני ישראל מארץ מצרים כי אם חי אדוני אשר העלה את בני ישראל מארץ צפון ומכל הארצות אשר הדיחם שמה והשיבותים על אדמתם אשר נתתי לאבותם. He says, however, behold, days are coming. This is a prophecy of the end of times. The word of Hashem, meaning this Hashem is telling us this. When it will no longer be said, as Hashem lives, who took out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt, but rather as Hashem lives, who took out the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from the lands where He had scattered them. And I shall return them to their land which I gave to their forefathers. This is a nice chidush I had. B'siyata d'ishmaya was much unbelievable, I think, that you see a lot of wisdom in there relevant to our conversation. This is Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 14 until verse 16. Hashem is telling us, until now all of the people knew me as the God of the children of Israel that took them out of Egypt. What's the big deal of taking them out of Egypt? Egypt was much stronger than the strongest nation is today. Let's say if it's America, Egypt was much stronger than America. Why? Because the entire world paid taxes to Egypt. The entire world doesn't pay babkis to America. They don't pay them anything. They do business with them, but in reality, America owes money to everyone. And that's actually the control they have. Because if America says we're going to default on our debt with China over $1 trillion, it's murder-suicide, meaning both countries will collapse immediately. They're dependent upon each other. Why? Because if America says, I don't want to pay you the $1 trillion I owe you, all the bonds you owe, we're not going to pay that. So what's going to happen? China is going to say, okay, I'm going to start selling the bonds. I'm going to start selling the debt you have in the open market. They sell $100 billion worth of bonds. So naturally you would think they would have 900 million left. But as soon as the market finds out that China just sold 10% of the American bonds, the value for the other 900 million will collapse by at least 50%. Meaning they no longer will have 900 million left, they'll have about 400 million left. So both countries lost. Why? Because that also means that the value of the dollar collapsed with it. Because now America is known as a default nation. So it's murder-suicide. They both die. So that's not control. That's not power. That's just business. In Egypt, everyone owed the money all the time. You wanted to do business, you owed the money. You wanted to eat, you owed the money. You wanted to breathe, you owed the money. And also, according to Chazal in Me'am Loez, it says Egypt had over 900 million people. It also says that Am Yisrael had 300 million. And only 3 million survived. Now when we say that Hashem took us out of Egypt, what's the big deal? Because it's the first and last time in history that the strongest nation in the world not only released their slaves, but actually begged their slaves to leave. The master became the slave. The master gave money to the slave so he can leave. This never happened after. Never happened before. Never will happen again. So the entire world knew this. And everyone knew the God of Israel is the one that controls everything. You destroyed the biggest civilization in history, and you made the weakest nation in history number one. Like that. Doesn't happen. So he says, until now, until the Mashiach comes, they always knew me as the God of Israel that took him out of Egypt. But when the Mashiach comes, they're not going to know me like that. They're going to know me as the God of Israel that took us from the land of the north and from all the lands where he had scattered them. מארץ הצפון ומכל הארצות אשר הדיחם, שמה. He took them from the land of the north. Meaning that this Mashiach event is going to be bigger. Bigger than Mitzrayim. But where is Eretz HaTzafon? There are 7 continents in the world. Only one of them has the name Tzafon in it. Tzfon America. North America. North America has 2 countries. Has the United States and has Canada. And just so happens, the largest amount of Jews in the world, aside from Israel, live in Canada and America. Hashem is telling us that at the end of times, this is Mitzrayim. And He's going to free us from here. And the rest of the world. Because He said, it's not just Tzfon America, it was just Egypt in the past. He just freed us from Egypt. But He says here, from Tzfon America, umikol ha'aratzot. It's from the land of the north and all the other countries. Meaning, obviously, Hashem spread us amongst the 4 corners of the world. We have Jews in Australia, we have Jews in Africa, we have Jews in South America, we have Jews everywhere. But the vast majority of Jews are in North America. But how is He going to do it? הנני שולח לדייגים רבים נאום אדוני ודוגים אחרי כן אשלח לרבים ציידים וצדום מעל כל הר ומעל כל גבעה ומנקקי הסלעים. Behold, I shall send many fishermen, the word of Hashem, and they will fish them out. And afterwards I shall send many trappers, and they will trap them from atop every mountain and every hill, and from the crevices in its rocks. Now this obviously has a few pirushim. One is a very negative one. We'll try to focus on the positive one. We already did enough negative today. Now what does a fisherman do? Fisherman is very precise, like a sniper. If he's a skilled fisherman, he tries to get the best possible fish at once. He gets the bait ready, he goes to the right location, he uses whatever technology he can, and he tries to get the big fish. That's what a fisherman does. Hashem said, I'm going to send many fishermen with the word of Hashem, with the true word of Hashem. And they will fish them out. The lost nation, the lost Jews, the ones that are off the derech, the ones that are not keeping Shabbat, the ones that are not doing tefillin, the ones that have no clue what Torah means, the one that think that David HaMelech was one of the founders of modern Israel. Which there's schools in Israel right now, unfortunately, I think that David HaMelech was actually the same as David Ben Gurion. I'm dead serious. Israelis think that David HaMelech and David Ben Gurion is the same thing. This is how far we are. So Hashem says, lives, the flesh and blood means nothing. That's just, it's meat. Without the soul, it goes bad. I need to save the souls. So I'm going to send fishermen. People that are going to tell the truth to people and wake them up. Why? So when the Mashiach arrives, they're ready. We started, but we didn't finish before. It said that the 13 principles of faith, the Rambam said, one of them is that you have to believe the Mashiach is coming. But what does it mean, believe in the Mashiach is coming? Everyone can say Mashiach, they could sing the song, Mashiach, 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 and, what does it mean? Believe the Mashiach is coming. Same thing as believing in the Torah. If you believe this is true, if you believe the Torah is 100% true, no safek, this is 100% from God. No doubts. This is 100% from God. You'll be scared to sin. This is why Hashem wrote this parasha. This is why he put Parashat Kitavo. This is why he put Parashat Vayetchanan. This is why half the Torah is different punishments. Why? Because he's telling you, I wrote this and I'm serious. Now, if you believe it's real, you're going to comply. If you don't believe it's real, you'll pick and choose. You'll act with casualness with Hashem. Same thing with Mashiach. If you really believe the Mashiach is coming, there's no doubt in your mind that you have to start keeping mitzvot. If you're already keeping, you have to get stronger. If you're already learning, you have to learn more. If you're not keeping, what are you waiting for? Because if you really believe the Mashiach is coming, then you have to know there's no more tshuva once the Mashiach comes. There's no more tshuva. There's no more gerim. The only tshuva that's available are people that are 50-50. Meaning they keep the foundation of Judaism, but they're like datilonim, like they keep Shabbat, Tefillin, they keep the foundation. If they don't keep Shabbat, there's no hope for them. If they don't keep the foundation of Judaism, there's no hope. Let's not fool ourselves. They're still going to clubs on Friday night. Mashiach is not going to help them. It's not going to help them. An example of this, just to give you an understanding, I thought this is a big deal. I thought that this is like maybe a machmir. I thought maybe this is like too stringent, too difficult. Come on, Shabbat. It can't be that much of a big deal.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.